All right, how is everyone? Doing well? Yeah?
Great.
Good, good. Thanks for spending your Saturday with me. It's a lovely afternoon out there. But we have pressing matters at hand. Facebook and Facebook marketing. And we have a little bit to cover from last week's class, right, that we didn't quite get to. So we're going to start there. We're going to kind of pick up where we left off in last week's class and then move into kind of part two, which is more focused on learning about Facebook advertising and how that can help supplement your strategy on social media. So as usual, before we get started, just a few housekeeping notes. I think most of you are clear on these items, but number one, class will be canceled on Saturday, August 22nd. That was to be our class on YouTube, as well as like Yelp, TripAdvisor. So I will give you the slides. They'll be in the same folder with all the rest of them if you guys want to take a look at it. And if there are questions, we can maybe try and address them in the following week's class. Again, slides are online, bit.ly/GYBO_2015. It is case sensitive, so make sure you type it in exactly as you see it there. And side note, we are streaming today's class online. So that was a request from one of the students. So it's pretty easy for me to set up. I'll probably do that from now on. And I think it should be accessible afterwards as well.
How do we do it? How do we see it?
Yeah, I will give the link to the library. I think that's going to be the easiest thing to do. And then they can send it out to all of you. So we'll have a record of today's class.
So it's live or not live?
It's live right now, and then after the fact, you should be able to rewatch it and re-listen.
And what are you using to make live?
I'm using Google Hangouts on Air. Yeah. So it will, I believe, automatically essentially go to YouTube, and I just have to set it publicly afterwards. Yeah. So it's really nice, and so it should be picking up my voice. I'm assuming it is, and showing the screen on the stream. So I'm hoping that worked out. I know. I've got somebody watching it on the other end, actually. One of the students that's not here is watching, and he said we're all good. So, all right. For anybody that hasn't been here before, please hold questions until the end of each slide. I love your questions. I welcome them. But just to keep the flow of the class going and make it easy for everyone to understand, just hold the questions until the end of the slide, and then I'll be happy to answer them. And lastly, if you haven't, please silence your phone or other noise-making device. Good? Good? Good, good? Okay, good. Any questions before we get started? Great. Okay, so we're gonna hop back to the remainder of the Facebook intro. And I just thought this was an interesting thing I could share quickly at the beginning of class here. These stats just came out last week. So this is an update on the Facebook community. And I think I told you all that Facebook was 1 billion monthly active users. It's now almost 1.5 billion monthly active users on Facebook. Huge, 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 huge impact. And this is a summary of some other things that are happening on the social network. These are all properties that Facebook also owns. They own WhatsApp. They obviously own the Facebook Messenger app, and they own the Instagram app. So in addition to Facebook, we've got another, like, almost billion, is that right? I'm not very good with numbers. A lot of people, basically, in the Facebook system. Some more interesting stats, 1.5 billion searches daily on Facebook. What? That's huge. They are offering 1 billion people access to the internet through internet.org. This is one of Facebook's kind of nonprofit initiatives where they are offering internet to people in countries that don't have access. And so they've done 1 billion, which is pretty impressive. 850 million people using groups on Facebook. So that can be a powerful marketing tool. 450 million people using events on Facebook. I still interact with events quite a bit. And you've got 40 million small businesses using Pages. So again, a lot of evidence here for the social network. And that's what we're going to try and focus on today, is using Facebook for our business. So like I said, we're going to pick up where we left off with the newsfeed algorithm. Okay, and we talked about this last week. Does anybody want to wager that they can give it back to me how this thing works after we talked about it last week. Anybody feeling brave? Newsfeed algorithm. Affinity, weight, time decay. Does this sound familiar at all? Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Okay. So we'll quickly review this because this is like one of the key points for Facebook marketing. This is almost the most important thing that there is. Glad you could be here. You're good. You're good. I understand. It is warm out today. Okay. So briefly, for anybody that wasn't here last week, in terms of the newsfeed, it's important to understand that on Facebook, you're not seeing everything that everyone is posting. You're only seeing certain content that Facebook thinks you want to see. And how does it decide what it thinks you want to see? Well, it does it based on these 3 factors: affinity, weight, and time decay. Basically, for any given piece of content, it looks at these criteria and it says, 1, affinity. How closely are you tied to the person or page creating that piece of content? And this is determined by repeat interactions. So for example, if I visit Linda's Facebook page all the time, if I always like her posts, if we message a lot, it's gonna show me her posts all the time. If on the other hand, Mary and I don't interact much on Facebook, I don't see her posts, I don't send her messages, it's not going to show me as much of her content, okay? So that's the affinity factor. And again, it's determined by repeat interactions. The same is true for business pages. If I constantly like a page's content, it's going to continue to show me that page's content. If I see a few of their posts, ignore them, never click on them, never comment, never like, it's gonna, over time, assume I'm not interested and start to drop it out of my feed. Because at the end of the day, Facebook is interested in providing me the most relevant content it can. And this is one of the ways that it thinks it's doing that job. The next element is weight, and this is the one we spent the most time on last week. Weight is the value given to the post and to the actions the post receives. So a post itself has weight, and different types of content have different weight. We went over this before. A video is the most valuable, photo is second, a link is third, and just a plain text post is last in terms of the weight it has. And it does this because, like we've talked about in previous classes, we are visual creatures. We take in information best when it's in an image-based format. So we're gonna respond more to videos and photos than we are to text or to links. And Facebook knows that at this point. They've done their homework and their research. And so they are more likely to show photo content, video content, etc., than they are to show links. If you're posting a link, you better make sure that it's really strong and you've got a strong caption and you're encouraging people to like or comment or share or do something. And that brings me to the other half of the weight, which is the actions the post receives. Likes, comments, shares. Those also have a relative ranking. So share is worth the most. If someone shares your post, Facebook is gonna say, this must be a pretty good post for someone to actually share it with their friends. So that's a really valuable indication. Comments are next, likes, and also clicks. Clicks can weight too. So even though there's no visible indication of a click, it can still help your newsfeed ranking if you are getting clicks on your links. But ultimately, every post, especially as a business, it's really important to try to get people to comment, like, or share. One of those 3 actions. And that's why you see, for example, a lot of business pages asking questions, right? Or contests that say, if you share this post, you know, you'll get an entry for XYZ. They are trying to increase their ranking in the newsfeed by taking those kind of actions. And the last factor is called time decay, but basically it's just how new a piece of content is. In general, information gets older, possibly out of date over time. So if a post is older, it's less likely to rank highly in the newsfeed. Any questions? Yes.
Well, how does it affect the ranking if, for instance, like you have these friends or you have these pages that you like,
Yeah.
and you don't really have time to go through your entire newsfeed?
Sure.
So you put it in the search thing. You want to go look at that
Okay.
page.
Yep.
How does that affect the ranking?
So that would increase your affinity with that page. And it would say like, you are probably interested in that page, and it may even surface it higher in your feed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the
great.
feed is not necessarily chronological. And you can actually change that. You can switch between the top stories, quote unquote, on Facebook. If I see right here on the left, the news feed, this little arrow, I can choose whether I want to see top stories or most recent. And so most recent posts, we shall see, is different. The content here is different than what I was seeing when it was top stories. And by default, everyone lands on top stories. So again, this is why the newsfeed algorithm is so very important, and making sure that the things that we're posting is sort of with all of this in mind. More questions? You guys got it. You got it. Good. Okay. So now that we know how the newsfeed works and how our content is ranked and thus shown or not shown in the newsfeed, let's talk a little bit about some posting strategies. I'm a business. I've got my business page set up the way that we talked about last week, and now I need to start sharing content on a regular basis. You may be asking, what in the world am I going to post and how am I going to do that? How often do I have to post? All of these things. A lot of questions, I understand. I'm here to help. Number one, I would say, especially when you're just getting started, post somewhere between 2 and 10 times per week. And again, this is going to really depend on what you have to say and how often you have something to share. I would not recommend posting just for the sake of posting. It's really important that every time you do share something, that it adds value to the conversation, it adds value to your potential customers, and you're really saying something valuable, not just posting for the sake of making a post. So I think starting with 2 times a week, especially as a small business, especially as someone growing a presence, is plenty. And then I wouldn't really go any more than 10 times a week. And again, like every one of those 10 better be killer if you're posting that frequently. So, up to 2 times a day if you really have good content to share. And you'll see that a lot from media organizations specifically, right? They have a lot of stuff to share all day. So they post pretty frequently, but as your average business, in general, people don't want to hear from you quite that much, right? I think the worst thing that you can do is get an unlike or get like a negative feedback. So just be careful not to overpost. Secondarily, you can use what are called peak post times or days. There's a lot of kind of difference of opinion about what the best time of day or what the best day of the week is, but there are some kind of general best practices. In general, Thursday and Friday are the best days to post. And again, in general, the optimal time to post is early afternoon of the time zone with the most of your audience. So, for us here, if I'm a local business, in general, the best time of the day to post is going to be around 1 p.m. And part of the logic behind this anyway is this is when people get back to their desks after lunch and they don't feel like working, and so they go check Facebook. That was something I learned a long time ago working in media, is we were always like to schedule our posts at either 9 a.m. when people are getting in and don't feel like working and go check Facebook, or 1 p.m., which is after lunch. And again, Thursday and Friday are supposedly the best days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think people are spending less time in social media, right? They're a little bit more focused on their work mode. And of course, we're talking about a particular kind of audience, right? People that work 9 to 5. That's typically who this applies to. So you need to think, if my audience doesn't fit in that general category, maybe a different strategy is better. And for example, when I did social media as a consultant, I worked with a couple of bars, right? And for them, the best time to post was later in the evening, more like 9, 10, 11 p.m. That's when those people's kind of playtime hours were. But again, in general, if you're dealing with a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of audience, Thursday, Friday are your best days. Do not rule out the weekends though. The weekends can be really powerful, especially because other businesses don't post as much on the weekend. So you have the opportunity to stand out a little more. There's less competition on the weekends. So I think that can be a good time, and especially Sunday. I tend to lead towards Sunday rather than Saturday because I think people are kind of online, seeing what happened over the weekend, whereas Saturday people are more likely to be out enjoying their weekends. Again, it's a generalization, but this is an idea, and once you get started with Facebook, you can actually check your insights and it will tell you when your audience is online. As long as you have a business page, you can actually see what hours are most popular for your audience. So
How do you do that?
I can show you real quick. For my business page, be right at the top. Having a little internet slowness here. This is one of those things when the computer knows something is watching it. I'm going to take my time. Okay. So while that's loading, let's just see anything else to cover here. Yeah, ultimately, this particular source anyway gave a broad suggestion of any time between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. to post. That's pretty helpful. But that just goes to show, again, it depends on your audience. It depends on the type of content you have to share. You see they're saying 1 p.m. you get more shares, but 3 p.m. you get more clicks. Interesting. You know, again, it may depend on the audience. Something else, another kind of strategy I've heard of is to post more informational content in the mornings and more entertaining content in the afternoons. I know, right? Like people are more interested in stuff they can learn from in the mornings, but they want to be entertained in the afternoons. I don't know. You know, these are all kind of theories and hypotheses that are based on some experience anyway. So try it for yourself and see what's going to work best for you. In terms of post timing, the best answer is always see what works best for you.
That's where that insights comes in.
Exactly. And so when I click on the Insights tab, every business page has this. I think you have to get to like 30 fans before you can start to see your insights. But it will be here. For example, it tells me how my various posts are performing. These are individual posts that I've done. We can see this one did really well. I had a pretty good reach here. This one, not so good, right? And is that a factor of the post time? Is that a factor of the post type? This is something where I have to kind of do my homework, keep track of various posts, and start to make some educated guesses or decisions about how things are performing and what I want to continue to post. I can tell you I'm not going to do this kind of post again. I can tell you that much. In terms of seeing when your people are online, you can see I have all these options here at the top inside my analytics. I can see a little bit more about the people who like my page, or rather how my page likes are going, what my overall trend is of gaining new likes, as well as unlikes. I can see when I've gotten any unlikes, which is important to be aware of if a given post is causing people to unlike the page. That might be a sign I'm posting too much, or maybe it just really isn't good content. But I've also got a people tab here, and this is where I can see a little bit more about my fans. So for example, my company, our fans are 77% female. And so that lets me know, you know, I can gear my content a little bit more towards women than men, for example. In terms of finding the post times, let's see, is it in here? So this is showing me when my fans are online. This is under posts. And so, you know, the data here, it's pretty even, right? It's pretty consistent across the board. Like people are visiting almost every day of the week. In terms of the clock, I've got my clock down here, and I can see it's at its lowest at 3 a.m. 6 a.m. starts going up, 9 a.m. And basically from 9 a.m. to, you know, about 7, 8 p.m. it's pretty consistent. You know, so for us, is there a best time in here? Question mark. I don't know. Given that we're more of a lifestyle brand, I tend towards afternoons, like I said, because we want to do our more entertaining content then, as opposed to informational. But I do know, yeah, midnight's probably not a good post time. So based on your individual page, maybe you'll have a little bit more helpful data, maybe not. But you do have this information inside of your Facebook business page. And that's another good reason to actually have a business page in addition to a personal profile, is you get a lot more data and information about your page. So going back to our posting strategy, another tip that I will share is to balance your content types. And when I say content types, I mean the photos versus videos versus text versus links. Just because I said that photos and videos have the most weight doesn't mean you should always and only post photos and videos. It may be important to share a link if you're trying to actually get traffic to your website. Links get clicked on more than photos do, for example. So if you're trying to send traffic to your website, maybe you want to share links. But again, try different types, test different types, and also balance your marketing goals, right? It shouldn't always be promotional. It shouldn't always be entertaining. It shouldn't always be informational. We should try, again, to give a mix of content and a mix of information as well to our users so that they don't get bored. That's not on that handout. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of catch up from last week. And lastly, I would encourage each of you, if you are going to seriously start marketing on Facebook, create a calendar for yourself. It can be a really simple spreadsheet. It could even be a Word document. It could even be scribbled on a napkin, as long as it's written down somewhere and you've given yourself a little bit of a plan. That helps you do all of these things that I'm talking about, balancing your content types, balancing your marketing goals, planning what days and times you want to post. By creating a simple calendar document for myself, I'm way ahead of the game in terms of planning that out. And I've included a sample in the folder, the GYBO folder, that you can download, delete the information, and upload your own and create your calendar that way. Questions here? Yes?
If you realize that you've posted something at a bad time, like everybody's looking at your site at one point a day and you posted something out of that, can you repost it or can you like it yourself and cause it to regenerate?
Great question. So liking it yourself, one, always do that. I always do that. I always do that. Yeah, always like your own posts, because it will, have a little bit of help with the algorithm. And two, like, people don't want to be the first, right? Nobody wants to be the first. So it can kind of help get the ball rolling in terms of social proof. So to the other part of your question, can you repost it? So Facebook knows when you post the same thing twice, and they tend to show it to people less if you are reposting something. So that doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means consider carefully, because over time it will lower your overall ranking. Yeah, so it's something to be careful about. And you can edit your posts. You know, if you find there's a typo or something, it's really easy to edit. But in general, if a post doesn't go well, probably better to just move on. Other questions here?
What's GYBO?
It stands for Grow Your Business Online. That's the name of the series, and it's the link that I gave at the beginning. I'll put it on the screen at the end as well, again. All right, so a little bit more about posting best practices. This is for each and every one. Number one, ask for engagement. Tell people what you want them to do. And when I say engagement, I mean all those things I've been talking about: liking, commenting, sharing. Ask people to like the post if they like what you have to say. Ask them a question. Ask them to leave a comment, or ask them to share it. And people are more likely to take the action when you tell them what you want them to do. We always say show rather than tell. So again, for me, that means images. That means videos, images. They're the most powerful way to tell your story, is by showing it. Again, we're visual creatures. We take in a lot more information visually than via text. So anytime that you can communicate with an image, I always recommend it. Asking questions in your posts is another good way to get engagement and to get comments on your posts. If you can ask for people's opinion, if you can ask for their input, people love giving opinions. And they like helping too. You know, if I legitimately need to know where the best place to get my dry cleaning done is, You know, I'm sure each of you have an opinion about the best dry cleaner in town, right? Ashley would like to know that. And if I post that on Facebook, I'm very likely to get a response. You know, anytime I ask a question that I legitimately need answered, I always get a lot of response to it.
Put that question on your business.
Not on
page.
my business page, but you know, if my business did need a dry cleaner, you know, let's say I'm a vintage store and I need a dry cleaner, that would totally be a relevant question. So finding out things that are relevant to your business. And that's a good place to say, well, where do I need help? You know, for us at Print, one thing that we could do is get feedback on our product colors, for example. We can say, which ones do you guys like more? Do you like the pink or do you like the blue? And that's a place where our fans actually can have an impact and we appreciate their input. So think about ways that you can and again, any kind of questions can be helpful because it'll help generate more comments on your post. I mentioned this already, don't oversell or undersell. And we say to utilize an 80-20 rule, meaning 80% of your posts should be informational or entertaining, and 20% should be sales oriented. So if you're doing 5 posts, that means 4 that do not push any sales content and 1 that does. And this is just kind of a general rule of thumb, but it's best not to be overly promotional on Facebook. That doesn't mean you can never tell people that you do have something for sale. And in fact, it's important to let them know. It's like that ask thing that I said before. So don't undersell. Don't never tell people that you have a product or service to offer. Just balance that with other things you have to share. And again, this is where a calendar can be really helpful too, to make sure that you're getting a good ratio of sales to non-sales related posts. And lastly, make it fun, okay? If you're having fun, your followers real. Have a personality, be who you are. Social media is social, they call it that for a reason. It's about connecting with one another. If I wanted to hear bland business content, I would go watch the news, okay? I'm on social media because I want to be entertained and I want to have a connection. And the more that you can show your personality, the more likely people are to connect with your business versus someone else's. If it's a dry cleaner that uses like pink lettering and talks about how much they like Hello Kitty, like you can bet I'm going to choose that dry cleaner. Okay, because that's something that I enjoy personally, and so I'm drawn to them versus another business, given that the quality of their products is comparable, which at the end of the day, it probably is, right? You know, there are probably a lot of good dry cleaners. So I'm more likely to choose one that aligns with me personally. And that's why social media is a great place to show your personality, kind of let that shine and let people in and help them get to know you. And at the end of the day, hopefully choose you versus someone else. And inspiring is always a great thing. You know, people do ultimately want to be inspired. They want to have an emotional connection. So anytime you can bring something in that really talks about how you're changing things, how you're helping people, how you've helped yourself, that can be really powerful content for social media as well. And studies have shown that the posts that get shared most often are the ones that provoke an emotional response. You know, so the stuff about the dog, like when the soldier comes home and the dog hasn't seen him, right? You know, exactly. Yeah, and that's the type of stuff that does the best on Facebook, because that's what we respond to as humans. And ultimately, this network is just another outlet for all of us people to do what we're trying to do. So that may or may not fit for your business. You know, my fictional Hello Kitty dry cleaner may not be able to post really inspiring, emotionally engaging stuff in a way that feels authentic. It doesn't always work for everyone, but think about what does. You know, if you do have a cause or a passion or a commitment to something, I would encourage you to include that here. Questions on this slide? We'll keep moving. So I wanted to include just a few examples of bad Facebook posts. And it's kind of cut off the top so you wouldn't see who it was. You know, I don't want to make anybody feel bad. But This is a post in your feed. This is an image. It's not a link, but way up there you can see there is a link in the caption. So what they're trying to do is push me to this article, right, about mastering keyword research. And they've posted it as a photo with a link in the caption to get that better newsfeed ranking that I was talking about, because photos perform better than links. This, you can have mixed success with it, right? Because people are a lot less likely to click on that little tiny link than if the link were the whole post. So this is kind of like 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But the thing I really don't like about this post are the hashtags. And the reason I don't like hashtags is because hashtags just don't work on Facebook. They don't really belong on Facebook. And if anything, they're making this post look more cluttered, and they're making the link harder to find. And studies have shown that posts on Facebook that include hashtags get lower engagement because they are more likely to be promotional and sales related. Yeah, a hashtag. So hashtags are really from Twitter. They started on Twitter. It's anytime you put a pound sign, and we'll talk more about this in the Twitter class, keyword research. And it's all one word. There are no spaces. And the purpose of it is to link to a topic. So if I click on that, it's a link, okay? And the pound sign denotes that I am tagging a topic. And I click on that word, and it takes me to a whole feed of anybody else who has used that tag. So it's really good for like events, right? Like when the Super Bowl is on, it'll be hashtag Super Bowl, and that way anybody talking about the Super Bowl or posting about the Super Bowl, you could see it in one place. That's one use for hashtags. Or again, topics. So if I'm looking for information on keyword research, I could use this hashtag. But as I mentioned, hashtags really don't belong on Facebook. Facebook did just start supporting them about 2 years ago, which seemed like they were behind the times by not allowing hashtags, but really they have added nothing to the network, and people don't like them on Facebook. So never use hashtags on Facebook. Promise me you won't. Got it? Okay. Another one, this is another little pet peeve that I have. So this is sharing a link, and in this case, the link happens to be to an event. So you type your content, and then you paste in the link. The link preview populates, but they've left the link in the post. It doesn't need to be there. Once I have posted a link preview, I can delete the link address from my post. And again, it'll look cleaner. It'll be easier for people to read, and they can click on this nice big link instead of a tiny little text link in the caption. So that's just one thing also to know, and again, a pet peeve of mine. If you've pasted the link and the link preview populates, you can delete the link from your post. Yes?
Do you have to go back in and edit it to get that out of there?
No. So as you are making your post, so like if I want to share this link to the library on our page, I can paste it in there. Oops. Sorry, let me start again. I'm going to go too fast, breaking things. Okay, so I paste the link. It's going to populate a preview. This is the link preview. I can choose which thumbnail image I want. All of these are not good. So I actually, in this case, I might like upload an image. If I really wanted to share a link to the library, you can replace the preview. Okay. So upload image, and I can choose this new image. Okay, there's the image. And now I can delete the link, and I can say the local library is great. It's right here. This entire thing is the link. And so when I click publish, it'll look just like this. It'll say the local library is great, and this entire area is clickable. You see how that's better than this one line of text.
Why did it say remove image on it?
Because I uploaded that image, so if I should decide I don't like it or I want to use a different one, I just click remove, and then I can go back to upload or just keep the default ones. that it came with.
So when it shows online, will it say that?
No, that's only something I see as the admin.
Should most people know that the picture, the image is,
Clickable?
is the link?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Because when I go to my feed, let's see, like these are photos. This is a link. And it says, if you see right here, Guy Kawasaki shared a link. In case I had any doubt, you know, I can see that this is a link and I can see the preview, I can see the headline. This right here shows me the address in case I have any questions about it, and then who shared it. So there's a lot of information here versus the photo post, which just looks like this. It's just a plain old photo. My friend's having a coffee, apparently. And I pulled this, oh, come on. I feel like the internet's not working very well today. Maybe it's because I'm streaming.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just leave it like this. So like I mentioned, you can edit your link preview the way I just showed. You can change the image attached to a link, but you can also edit the headline here. If I wanted to be sneaky and tell people this was actually for like a cool party website. Don't do that. Really what this is for is when something doesn't display the way you think that it should. And when you're trying to give people an idea of what they're going to see and it's not showing the right thing. You can also edit the description, which this one doesn't have a description, but there, if I click in just the right spot, I can probably get it. No, it's not cooperating. So you can edit the description, and as I showed, it will also often give you the opportunity to change the, so yeah, I can click this, I can edit, I can click this, I can edit. A lot of the times, especially the description, it like doesn't pull the right thing from the website, so it's nice to be able to change that. And only from a business page can you change the image, but you do have the option to change link previews. Also, using caps can be a good idea, and I say to use them wisely. But one thing with Facebook posts is you get no formatting. There's no bold, there's no underline. You can't change the size of the text. It's very straightforwardly displayed. So even though I rarely advise using caps online because it's like yelling, when you're making a Facebook post, sometimes it is a good idea to capitalize a certain word so that it jumps out a little bit more. I think you could think of it like bolding an individual word or phrase. So, you know, sometimes capitalizing the word tonight, capitalizing the word free, think about what would be appropriate in any given post. But I would encourage you to use caps from time to time in a careful way. Next, try making your own graphics. And there's a website that I recommend. It's called canva.com. I'll open it up for you right now. You may have seen at various points like nice images with text across them. And this is one day that you can create them really easily. They've got all of these predefined social media graphics for you. So they're the right size and shape. And I can use almost any of these for free. So I just click on it, and then I can edit and change it to my content. Pretty cool, right? And so when I talk about, communicating graphically, a tool like this can be a great way to do it. And like I said, they have a bunch of stuff in here. It's already set up, and you just need to change the copy. You can also switch out the images. I mean, so really, anybody can be a graphic designer with a tool like this. This is the type of stuff that used to be very expensive and time-consuming to produce. And at canva.com, you can do it yourself and for free. And they're not paying me to tell you that.
Just for Facebook or for anything?
For anything. You can use these images for anything. So yeah, if I go back to the home page, you can see they have like a postcard style, an invitation style Facebook post. This is a generic square, presentations, posters, etc. So you can do a lot of cool stuff with it. So
What's the name of that site?
Canva.com, C-A-N-V-A. It's like canvas without the, yes, thank you. Okay, moving right along. When I mentioned asking questions in your post, I recommend you put the question mark at the end instead of in the middle of the post somewhere. It's easier for people to see and realize that they're being asked a question when the question mark itself is the very last thing they see on any given post. And I mentioned this as well, but testing less competitive times. For example, it might be a good idea to post on the weekend because not as many other businesses are posting, or early in the morning, depending on your business. It's something to test and try and see if it works for you. Any questions on these? Good. We're moving fast. So let's talk a little bit about how to get followers, how to get people to like your page, right? We've gone through all this trouble to set up a page. We're working really hard on creating great content and posts, but how do I actually get anybody to like the page so that they see my content? That sort of has to come first. Well, number one, you can invite your friends. When you set up a new page, they will walk you through the process of inviting your friends to like the page. That's a good place to start, and it can kind of possibly anyway get you some momentum in terms of growing your page.
Who will walk you through it?
Facebook, when you're setting up your page for the first time, there's a very nice little walkthrough and they will suggest you invite your friends as part of it. Another thing that you can do is you can list your business page as your employer on your personal profile. So that's another way for when people are checking out your personal page for there to be a link to your business page on your profile. So I would recommend anybody do that. Even if you're the business owner or the sole proprietor, you can still list it as your employer. Also, include links to your social media presence, your Facebook, other websites, other social networks on your email signature. Have a link to your Facebook page on your website. You can even put it on printed collateral if that makes sense for you. Definitely, you have to sort of let people know that you exist in order for them to get connected with your page. Another thing to consider in terms of building followers is having contests or offers. Asking people to like your page, for example, in exchange for a chance to win fill in the blank can be a really powerful way to start to build followers. The same thing with offers. You could say anyone that likes my Facebook page gets 15% off their first session of such and such. Or again, whatever is appropriate for your business. So contests and offers can be a good way to drive a little bit more traffic and get people connected in the first place. And this one is pretty straightforward, but post useful content, right? You post good stuff, people will share it, their friends will see it, they want more, then they're gonna come and like your page. Easier said than done, of course. It's really hard to get attention in this sphere. You know, we saw there are 1.5 billion people and 40 million businesses that have pages. I mean, it's a noisy and crowded space. But ultimately, if you're providing something that's useful or really engaging or interesting, it's going to help you grow your presence online. And that's how I've connected to a lot of the pages I like, is my friends share the posts and I say, wow, that's really cool. I want to see more of it. I like the page, and now it's part of my feed too. And lastly, in terms of building your followers, you can advertise on Facebook. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about for the rest of the class today. You can do fine on Facebook without advertising, but anymore, I think as a business, it's really necessary, especially when you're just getting started, to help get your page off the ground, to put a little advertising dollar behind it. And again, I'm not being paid by Facebook to tell you this. I'm speaking from my experience as someone who's been doing this for 8 years now, marketing on the social network. It's very different than it used to be. You know, you used to be able to create a business page and you add 100 or 1,000 likes overnight, and it really doesn't work like that anymore. Facebook wants to keep the platform a place for people and individuals to connect. And they're kind of letting us businesses in to be nice because they have to. You know, they're not really charging us to use it. But if you want to have a real impact as a business, I definitely suggest advertising on Facebook. And you can start with very little money. You don't have to spend a lot, but it can be really helpful. Yes?
Is that different than boosting posts?
No. Boosting falls under the category of advertising. Yes?
So a friend of mine often, she has a small marketing company. She often will just say, oh, this is a great article, and then she'll just point to a magazine article from the company.
Sure.
Is that allowed? I mean,
Of course.
copyright issues. And
No.
The only thing she says in there, oh, you know, how to hire better employees, and then she just gives that magazine article and a link.
Yeah,
Is that
because
all allowed?
it's a link. Because I'm linking to the business. I'm not taking their content. I'm not claiming any ownership. In fact, I am sending them traffic. So they should be happy about that. And if anybody wants to see more about it, they click on it and then they're in that business's place. So that's totally cool. And definitely share good links that you find. Yes. Personal profile. Other questions? Okay, good. And just a few resources. We're finishing last week's class now. Facebook has a great help section. I recommend you check that out if you have any questions. Mary Smith is one of my favorite Facebook experts. She has a lot of great tools, and you can follow her page on Facebook, and you will see it in your newsfeed all the time because she's awesome at what she does. So definitely recommend you follow her. Social Media Examiner is another website that I recommend for learning more about how to market in this space. And lastly, tools like Sprout, HubSpot, they provide a lot of good content around social media marketing too. So these are just some places where you can get some more information about using Facebook for marketing specifically. And these should be on your slides from last week and also in our folder online. So quickly, your homework from that class would be, if you haven't already, create an account, both a business account and a personal account. Start posting on your page 2 to 5 times per week to start is a really good place. And build followers. Decide on a strategy now, because if you're going to invest your time and your energy in posting on Facebook and creating content, you better also decide how you're going to get people to like and follow your page. So decide on a strategy to do that, whether it's giveaways, promotions, having links in your email, encouraging your friends, or advertising. And like I said, we're gonna start looking more in depth at the advertising aspect now. So any questions before we move on?
I didn't know if you want to spend time just to go over the edit, like, you know, we could do edit things.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually really straightforward. After I've pasted the link in, I can click on any element, and you see how it turns yellow? When I hover over it, now I can type anything. And then I just click outside of it, and it keeps what I put in there.
And it's only from a business.
You can edit the content. I'm on my personal page right now, but I don't think you can upload the image like I had.
The image.
I didn't have the option to change the image on my personal page, but I do on a business
Then
page.
paste it from where I didn't.
So, okay, yeah, so this is just a link to anything, you know, any link. I just pasted in a Canva link because we were talking about it. That's the website I just showed. So again, it automatically creates this preview.
Oh, it automatically created. Oh, I see.
Correct, yep,
Okay.
and then I can then change it if I like. Yes,
One thing you showed last week, and then I tried at home, I couldn't figure out, is how other people are seeing your page.
oh, okay, that is, yep. So click on the one with the lock, and then I think it's under who can see my stuff, and then view as. In the back, sir.
Is there an application like Hootsuite
Hootsuite.
where you can build followers or all your social media?
So Hootsuite can be used for any social network, but I think primarily for the purpose of posting only. If you're trying to use it to build followers, I don't think that's going to work. I think you need to go actually on to the individual social networks to do that.
How do you spell Hootsuite? Is it H-O-O-T?
Yep,
Is it S-U-I-T-E?
yep. Yeah, Hootsuite is a management tool, and I think we're going to look at that in one of the later classes, but this can be really helpful when you're running multiple social networks, or you have several different pages that you're trying to run. You can do them all in one place. So you can do your Twitter, your Facebook, your Google+, your Instagram, etc., all inside of one dashboard. Hootsuite's one good tool to do that. Any other questions on the Facebook posting or general Facebook strategy? Yes.
So just quickly, you said you were editing on your personal?
Yeah.
But you didn't have to click on the edit link and it didn't show edit below?
So I haven't posted it yet.
Oh, you haven't posted it yet?
Yeah, this is only before you post it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, once you've actually posted it, that's when I get the option to edit the post. And then I don't think I can change this stuff. That stuff. It's only the actual caption. Okay, anything else? Now we're kind of trying to cram a lot in here. I'm gonna hide that post. I don't like it. Okay. Okay, moving on to Facebook Advanced. And like I said, I kind of tried to trim this down a little. We'll see how that actually goes in reality. So what we're going to cover here, one, Facebook advertising, the structure, how it is structured, so everyone is clear on how this thing actually functions. A little bit about targeting. Facebook ads can be really powerful in terms of helping you choose exactly who you want to target. And lastly, some other features of Facebook advertising. And then the extra posting best practices, we've already covered those. We just talked about that part. I decided to do it all together, but those will be in this class's notes section in the slides. Okay. So let's dive in. Why Facebook ads? I always like to give the why. And the number one, reach of intended audience, 89%. That's like astronomical for advertising, especially compared to television or print advertising. I don't have a percent for that off the top of my head, but when you talk about reaching the people that you want to reach, Facebook can deliver that in an unprecedented way because they have so much information about us. It can be a little scary and a little weird, but you know, I'm used to it now. You know, they know a lot about me and what I like, and so they're able to show ads with a lot of precision, not only to me, but to you as well. I'll be right with you. Targeting accuracy in terms of targeting, being correct about the people that you're targeting. When I say, you know, I want women who are 18 to 25 who like, you know, Bratz dolls or whatever it is, 94% accuracy in terms of the targeting. Just so you know, your minimum spend for Facebook advertising is $1 a day. So for $30 a month, you can be advertising on Facebook. That's the minimum that you're allowed to spend in order to use the tool, but it's not necessarily very expensive. And if we're talking about customer acquisition, you know, think about the value of a potential customer, what they could be worth to you, especially over time, and compare that to the $1 per day cost. Now you'll need to see if it's paying off. You'll need to look, you know, and see how people are converting from your ads in terms of becoming fans of your page and then actually becoming a customer of yours, right? Because these are two different things. But in general, your cost is going to be really low for Facebook advertising. And lastly, as we already know, Facebook has the largest audience online of any social network, and it has the most time on site for their users. So people who use Facebook spend more time on Facebook than users of any other social network. And that's another good reason that it can be a powerful place to advertise. You had a question, Carol?
Oh, what does that really mean, reach intended audience? That Facebook is able to reach the audience that I want.
Correct.
How do
How?
they do that?
They do that based on all of the information that we volunteer when we sign up for a profile personally. They know my age, they know my location, they know everywhere I've lived, they know pages I like, the types of topic I'm interested in based on what I post about. And it's not like there's a person looking at all this. This is all computers that are just able to sort and file and crunch automatically. So they really have a lot of information. Yes.
So let's say someone has a professional Facebook page for a year and a half, and they just sign up for advertising. Does that only help the posts going forward?
Yeah, but it'll help your overall presence going forward. Yeah, they might. Especially when they come to your page for the first time, they might take a look at some of the things you posted. And if something has performed well and you wait long enough, I said you shouldn't post something again. But that's only really like consecutively. If it's a month later or so and you want to share something again, I think that should be fine. Any other questions?
You'll get into how much you think we should spend.
I can give some recommendations. Yeah.
If you put your intended, a keyword for your intended audience
Yeah.
in your name of your your page name.
Yeah, I guess if someone was searching for that, that's more something that would work with like Google, for example.
That's what I mean, Google find your intended audience more easily.
If you put that in your Facebook page name,
Oh. Would
Yeah.
Facebook find your intended audience more easily if you put that in your Facebook?
no,
Okay.
no, because when you're creating an ad, you choose the types of people that you're looking for. Yeah, it's more like you finding them versus them finding you. Yeah, and notoriously, just for the record, Google and Facebook don't play that well together. So your Facebook content may help your search engine rankings, but not much. Google doesn't really like to give a lot of space to Facebook in their results. Shocking, right? Yes.
Google wants to get to Google Plus.
Yes.
Google
Yes.
does what? What'd you say?
Likes to give it to Google Plus. Yeah, which is interesting. Actually, Google just announced, I want to tell you guys, they're like no longer forcing people to sign up for Google Plus after we did all that talk about it last week. So it should be interesting to see kind of what they do with it. Google, I don't know, they're hard to read and to see where they're going to go with things. But it's still, in my opinion, I did just want to say this, it's still really important if you have a local business, especially to have a listing on Google Plus, because they're going to use that for the maps listing and reviews, etc. You have another question? All right, we're gonna go. Okay, cool. So cost per impression. CPM stands for cost per impression, and according to sources, Facebook has the lowest cost per impression in history. In other words, to get a set of eyeballs on an ad, your cost can be as low as 25 cents. They're comparing this to LinkedIn ads, Google AdWords, cable TV, like $7 an impression, radio $8, magazines $20, newspapers $32. Cost per impression.
Newspapers are going down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
I think that's a really good point.
sad.
It is sad. And some newspapers are adapting. Well, I just had a friend telling me about like an app her local newspaper created, which is really interesting. But in general, when you're talking about reaching people, Facebook is going to be your best bargain in terms of costs. So let's take a look at the basic structure of a Facebook ad campaign. This is one place where people tend to get tripped up because it's a little bit confusing. Especially the first time one visits the Facebook Advertising Center. So you want to think about it this way. Each ad that you create, an individual Facebook ad, is way down here. They make you start way up there with your campaign and a campaign objective. And what that means is, what is your goal for this individual ad? Do you want page likes? Do you want website clicks? Do you want comments on your post? Do you want sales? Do you want app installs? They offer ads for that. They have a lot of different styles of ads. And so they make you choose first what your objective is for a given ad set. And that is the next level here. And the ad set now is where you decide the frequency, when you want your ads to run, and how much you want to spend. You determine your budget and ad set. So the way this is set up is you can have a campaign objective up there at the top. Let's say I want to get more page likes. Then I can move down to an ad set where I would choose, I want to spend a certain budget here. I also choose my audience in the ad set. This is where I set my targeting, is on this level. So I could say, I'm trying to get page likes, but I'm going to target this set towards women and this set towards men, and I'm going to create a different ad for the male viewers versus the female viewers. So the ad is what people actually see. This is where you write your copy, you pick your images, and you add some kind of call to action, such as click or like the page, etc. So people, again, often get confused when first going into the ad tool because you're expected to start at this campaign level. But really think about it as your campaign is your objective, your ad set is the targeting and budget, and the ad itself is the creative. Does this make sense? Pretty straightforward. Good. I was really confused the first time. So objective, overall objective. And so I mentioned there are a lot of different types of ad objectives. This is what you'll see. This is basically the first thing you'll see when you go into the Facebook advertising platform. What kind of results do you want for your ads? What do you want people to do when they see it? Do you want post engagement, which we talked about already, getting people to like or comment on your posts, which helps your overall newsfeed ranking? Do you want page likes? Do you want to expose more new people to your page? Do you want clicks to your website? Are you trying to send people off of Facebook and onto your website to perform an action? Do you want website conversions? That's actually, hopefully anyway, optimizing for whatever conversion is for you. It might be a sale, it might be an email sign up, a webinar sign up, an ebook download. A conversion could be anything that you want it to be, and Facebook can help you optimize for that. As I mentioned, app installs, app engagement, event responses, offer claims. They give you a lot of stuff here that you can play with. In general, the ones that I work with the most are page post engagement, page likes, and clicks to the website. Because those are my primary goals on Facebook. I'm trying to get more engagement for my posts so that they perform better in the newsfeed. I'm trying to get more page likes so that I'm exposed to new people. And I'm trying to drive people to my website so that they can actually purchase my product. Questions here?
What would be the difference between clicks, number 3, and website conversions?
So conversions is based on what you tell Facebook is a conversion. So for me, it might be, like I said, a product sale. That would actually be a conversion. And for them to be able to track that, I have to install a special code inside of my website. So that's something that you need a little bit, like you need a web developer or someone to work with you on, and that's why I use it less frequently. Although that's something we're going to start to do on our website soon, is optimizing for the actual conversion, for the actual sale, and not just driving someone to the website. So in terms of Facebook ad placements, there are several places that ads can be shown. You can choose one or you can choose all of them. They have different costs associated with them. First, there is the desktop news feed, so you can actually place ads right in the middle of people's news feed. Then there's the right-hand column ad. That'll be over on the side. It's a little bit smaller. Lastly, there is the mobile news feed. And again, it shows up right here in the middle of the feed. Typically, newsfeed is going to be the most expensive. Desktop newsfeed is the most expensive. I think the right-hand ads are kind of useless. They're really small and they're very obviously advertising. It's very easy to ignore them and say that's not something I'm interested in. So I tend to work with the mobile news feed. Another reason I do that for my business is I know that my customers are visiting our website like 70% from mobile devices. So for that reason, I know that this is a good place for my business specifically. But you can, like I said, choose one or choose any combination thereof. Yes,
What do you get for $1 a day?
we'll take a look at that. Yes.
Ad blockers block, but ad blocker plugin, they block the news.
You know, that's a good question. I don't think they do.
What's this?
Whether an ad blocker will block the newsfeed ads. I do have an ad blocker installed. Okay, so hypothetically, I think I have it. Yeah, I think I have it. Let's see. I have to disable it when I work with Facebook advertising. Like if I am creating an ad, I have to turn off my ad blocker or else I can't use the tool. But it sort of doesn't look like it's working. Mm-hmm. Advertising. So the question was, if there was a sponsored post in the feed or news feed ad, would my ad blocker block it? And the answer is I don't know. I don't think it would though. My sense is that it's more like content, it's more like a regular post. Which is a huge portion of people. But again, find out if your target buyers are likely to be looking at it on their phone. So let's look a little bit at the structure of an ad. There are a few different elements. There's always going to be an image, and typically you want to choose a strong, powerful image that's going to attract people's attention. It could be shown at various sizes, so you do need to make sure it's a high resolution image. We've talked about high res images before. I think at least 1,200 pixels wide, which is pretty darn big for an online image. But it also could be shown very small. For example, if you choose that right-hand feed, so it needs to look good in both placements. You've got a little bit of text copy that you can put in, and you've got a headline and a description. This looks a lot like one of those link ads. So there are a few different elements, and you'll have the opportunity to enter each of these, but you want to focus on primarily your image and your main text. That's the thing that people are going to be most likely to see, and you really want to use that image to draw people in. So a few best practices when it comes to ad creation. Typically your text should include your benefit and a call to action of some kind. So it's not just, we have, you know, this great information on our website and you should really check us out. It's about like, how is it going to improve my life as the user? That's what you want to try to describe to me in your ad copy. And as I mentioned, include a call to action. Tell people what you want them to do. Is it to click? Is it to like? Is it, you know, to sign up for the newsletter or download the ebook? Whatever it is, tell people and they will be more likely to actually take that action. And as I've mentioned before, consider offering a discount, a sample, or a giveaway in your Facebook ads. That's another really good way to draw people in and to catch their attention. As I mentioned, your image width should be a minimum of 1,200 pixels to make sure that you get the good placement in the newsfeed, among other places. Any image may not include more than 20% text. If you have more than 20% of your image as text, Facebook says this is not going to be engaging. This is probably not good. It's going to be one of those really ugly, cluttered, yucky things. So they actually have a tool that you can use to test that, whether it's more than 20% or not. But 20% is a very small area. So basically, keep any text on the image really limited. It can be useful to include some text, especially if there's an offer or a giveaway that will stand out a little bit more than it would in the copy, right? If it says like, you know, a big old 20% off right here, something like that. that'll stand out a lot more than putting it in the text up there. But we've got to use it really carefully and in a really limited format. And in general, like I said, your imagery should be bold, it should be simple, and it should be horizontal. The 4:3 ratio is the best format for Facebook ads, meaning the top side is 4 inches to the link side is 3 inches. And you can extrapolate that out, right? Math is not my thing, but you guys can do that part.
Even if it's a mobile?
Even if it's a mobile ad, yeah. Questions here, yes.
So in that ad, I think the guy was just like eye candy, right?
Yeah.
That was a good idea to just put a hot girl. on
Well,
the eye and
listen, again, it
Nothing to
depends.
do with it.
It depends on your business, but know that people are attracted to faces. A face is going to be a lot more compelling for me than, I mean, this is an ad for like marketing tips, right? Like how else are you supposed to personify that in an image? So I think this is a pretty good way of getting people's attention. And this may be one of those ads that they target at women, right? Versus choosing a different one to target at. That's probably why I saw it, in fact. Yes.
Well, if you can only have 20%, how would you, in a discount or whatever, let somebody know in one sentence or less that they can have, if they email you, they can get this first 2 chapters of your book free or whatever it is.
Mm.
And then is that a good way to collect emails?
Yeah, and it might not be. Maybe the thing to do is to use your ad to drive people to the page, right? To your Facebook business page, just to try to get likes on your page. And you would do that by sharing imagery or illustrations or quotes, you know, things that you think your audience might be interested in. And then from the business page is where you can give a little more information and you can say, you know, get 2 chapters, enter your email address, and you can read the first 2 chapters for free, for example. This is a real challenge, right? To distill any kind of message down to 1 sentence and 1 image. It's hard, I promise. It's really a challenge, but it's really important. And that might be something for you to just spend a little time on and try writing a lot of variations. That's another really good thing about Facebook advertising is that you can give them 10 different ads, right? All under the one ad set or campaign. And I can write different headline for each one. And I can use a different photo for each one. And Facebook will automatically optimize it for me and deliver the one that performs best to more people. So after about 24 hours, it'll say, all right, this headline's working really well. We're going to keep showing this one and stop showing the other ads.
They tell you that?
They do that automatically.
Oh my goodness.
They do that automatically. So for, yeah. So for someone in your position, I would do some tests, right? I would just get a blank document, write a lot of headlines, and see what performs. And also just really work to distill down my message in its simplest format.
Headline versus main text. How do you-
Those are just different pieces. You can see that the headline has less prominence, even though you wouldn't assume that's the case. The headline is actually less important. So just know that when you're setting up your ad, that the headline is kind of secondary and the main text or main copy is the thing that people see. Yes.
Is tacos a business word? I don't understand. I said about starting a business, marketing, and tacos.
It's just humor.
Yeah, it's humor.
Oh, it's human. Oh.
It's humor, exactly. And I think that's a good point, Carol, is that, you know, knowing I'm likely their target market, they know that I probably like something that's a little more funny and a little less serious. And I like tacos. So that's why they put that in there. All right, so let's actually just take a quick look at the tool itself. We're going to go into the Facebook ads website. And we're going to talk about these awesome features. So I mentioned you can target people really specifically, target them by interest, target by location, and a lot more factors. You can create custom audiences and then save those lists So for example, if you have an email list already, you can create an audience on Facebook based on that email list, and it will find those people based on their email addresses and show them your ads. Conversion tracking, I already mentioned this a little bit. That's when you actually install a code or a pixel on your website, and Facebook can help you actually make conversions, not just send traffic, but actually make sales. And the Power Editor is a Facebook ad tool that allows you to create hundreds and hundreds of ads at once, or even actually create your ads offline in a spreadsheet and upload them into the tool, and it will automatically generate them for you. So for anybody that is really digging into the advertising, the Power Editor can be a good tool. So we will take a quick look at the Facebook ad tool. I think we've made pretty good time, relatively speaking. And to get to this, if you haven't ever created an ad before, I would just Google Facebook ads and they'll take you right to the page. So you can see, this is my ad dashboard. With my company right now, we're in the process of doing some testing on multiple ads. So we're trying out different copy, different images, and seeing what people respond to best. In addition, we're also testing different audiences. Our product is a accessory for your smartphone. And so one of the things that we're working on testing right now is optimizing for Android users versus iPhone users and seeing how the response varies. But if I just want to create a new ad, you see that unless you also have an ad blocker turned on. I've never seen that before. It's pretty, okay. And so this is, like I mentioned, the point where we choose the objective for our ad. So let's see, I want to promote my page. This is like getting more page likes. And there's my page. It automatically gives me the option. And this is where I can start to choose my audience, my targeting options. So for example, right here, the first thing I've got is location. By default, it's giving me the United States. But if I'm a local business, you know, maybe I want to just narrow down to my zip code. So now my audience is people in this area in Mill Valley. Okay. Next, I have the option to set an age range. You know, if I know my customers are more likely to be over the age of 40, I can set that here. I can choose a gender, I can choose a language, and I've got even more demographic information here, such as relationship status, sexual orientation, education level, work, financial information, are they a homeowner or not? I mean, the level of specificity that you can get within this system is pretty impressive. And this goes back to the idea of really getting clear about your target buyer or your target customer that we talked about in class 1, because that'll help us target them more specifically. In addition to the kind of demographic information, I can also sort by interests. You know, if I know people are likely to like me that also like pizza. Okay, or I'm a pizza shop and I want to find people who like pizza. You know, I can type that in here. And now it's giving me some more suggestions. It's like, well, you want to target people who like pizza? Maybe you should also target people who like pasta and baseball. You know, you can sort by interest here and search for people that are likely to be interested in what you have to offer. You can also search behaviors, and behaviors get specific about, you know, from everything to automotive details and preferences, charitable activities, which mobile devices they're using, which, like I said, for my company, that's something we're working with right now. You've got a lot of options here that you can drill down, people who travel or don't travel, etc. Facebook has more categories here that you can look through. Some really weird specific categories, but it's all in there. So be sure to take a look. And lastly, this connections section is often something people overlook, but it's really important. You can choose to target people who like your page or people who do not like your page. This is a mistake I see people making a lot. If I already like their page, but they're advertising to me, it's a waste of money. It's a complete waste of money. So based on Facebook pages, I can exclude people who like my page already or other pages I admin. And then I come down to the budget section. So you have the option to choose a daily budget or a lifetime budget. I feel like the lifetime budget is a little safer, makes it easier for me to understand how much I'm spending. And they start you off with $500. That's maybe a little more than I want to spend on a regular basis. I think for a small business, test it out. Start with maybe $50 over a period of 30 days, or even $25 for 2 weeks, and see how it goes. If you're not getting a response and you're not getting results, don't keep doing it. But I think you could start with as little as $25 or $50 just to get your feet wet and see how your audience responds. As I mentioned, I chose a lifetime budget here, so now I need to set when I want my ads to start running and when I want them to end running. And I just choose this here. It's a simple calendar. If I want to do 2 weeks, you know, I could choose from today to August 15th. I'm putting in $100. We're optimizing for page likes. Like I said, they are optimizing it for me. Get the most likes at the best price. Okay, and I pretty much always choose that option and let Facebook optimize it for me versus trying to set how much I want to bid. Bidding for the ads, like, it gets kind of complicated. So I let Facebook do the optimization. You can set what time of day you want the ads to run, but I think at some point, you know, you're in pretty good shape here. And then we just need to give the ad set a name. And so they're saying, you know, this is people who are 40 plus in Mill Valley. From here, I actually move down into the creative. This is where I select my images, I enter the text that's going to show, and it shows me a preview. So this is just kind of the default preview for the page. It's pulling based on the page cover photo. I can see the desktop preview, I can see the mobile preview, and I can see the right-hand column preview. If I don't want any of these ads, like let's say I don't want the right hand, right? Because that one's so small and tiny, I just clicked remove, and I've still got my mobile and my desktop. Like I said, you can upload multiple images. You can do up to 6 at once, and Facebook will optimize those for you automatically and rotate between them. They also give you access to a selection of free stock images, which is kind of nice for someone who doesn't have images already, and you can pretty much type anything in here. This is for my imaginary pizza store someday, and I can say I want that one, that one, that one, done. And now I can see how the various images work and which one is going to work best. And it's going to show me a preview of all of the images I chose, and I can sort through them here. That looks pretty good, right? Yeah. And again, I can just edit my text here. You do have a very limited number of characters. So you want to be, again, really concise and careful. This is delicious. And voila, I'm ready to place an order. I've got a Facebook ad. There is a brief approval process. They will review your ad and make sure that you're not doing anything that you shouldn't be. They do have some strict rules about the types of things you can advertise, but I would assume most of your businesses will be fine. And they'll also, you know, they'll ding you if you try to write your ad text in all caps, for example, or if your image is more than 20% text, the little things that I told you about, they're going to check that for you first, and your ad may be disapproved, but it's very easy to edit, resubmit it, and then you're ready to roll. So this is an overview of the structure. Do you guys have any questions about what you saw here? Yes, sir.
Advertising, does Facebook advertise other languages?
Yes.
Will they automatically translate or?
No. No, you'll have to write your copy, but you can choose the languages right here.
And, do you know how big Facebook is in China?
I don't think Facebook is allowed in China.
I don't think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Facebook is blocked in China. They have a network called Weibo. That's the one that's big in China. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, Sina Weibo. That's the Chinese social network. Yeah. Yes.
In your example, if you change, say, Mill Valley to Marin County, the broader you make it, the more expensive it'll be?
Yes. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, why not just make it broader?
Yeah, why not make it the whole world? Exactly. But it's also going to lower your overall relevance. You know, like you want to show your ad to people that are likely to respond to it, because then they can also like it and comment on it and share it with their friends.
Well, you're gonna show us what you can get for $1.
So
How much?
So like I said, I can set my lifetime budget for $30 and I can run it for 30 days. And I'll see what my results are after 30 days. So I could run this ad right now for $30, you know, for $1 a day.
But will they show you what your options are? If you pay this much, you'll get this.
No, it's more about setting it up, telling them what you want, and then seeing how it performs. Working with Facebook advertising is, think of it as a game of constantly optimizing your stuff. So like I said, we're running all these different ad tests, right? We're running ads that test different copy, different images, different text. And after I've set up my ad and I've entered my budget, I see how it performs. In other words, you kind of have to tell it what you want and tell it what you want to spend, and then you see what result you get. For us, here's an ad I have running. I have different targeting options happening. Some audiences I'm targeting travel, I'm targeting shopping, I'm targeting people who have interest in music festivals, just to see which interests perform the best for us. And then based on the different smartphones, like I mentioned. So let's see, for about 28 cents per click, this ad, that's what it's costing me. Basically, I'm sending people to my website for 28 cents. Every click to my website is 28 cents.
So what other people click on your website, you're
Yeah.
charged that much.
Yes. Yeah.
So you don't know what your bill's gonna be.
Well, you do, because you set your budget. You set your lifetime
So
budget.
they stop the clicks, they block them after you've.
They
run
stop
out of
showing your ad. Yeah. Yeah.
You have a video
You can absolutely do a video ad.
and they're gonna charge you more.
I don't know. I don't know that it would necessarily cost more. It might even cost less if people respond to it better. Yeah. I saw a hand.
But yeah, you get website conversions to show how much you make to do the sales.
You know, I haven't actually run a website conversion ad, but I would assume that that's part of it. Yeah. Good questions, by the way.
On locations,
Yeah,
if you wanted to do, say, San Francisco and New York, can you put more than one
Yep,
location?
you can. Yeah, and it gives you like a radius in addition to that. It's like within 25 or 50 miles. And we're out of time. We're over time. I'd be happy to talk to you afterwards. Yeah. So let me put the, let's see, homework. Homework. Facebook Advanced. So here's where you create your Facebook ads. John Loomer is a great Facebook ads expert. I really, really like him and the stuff he does. He makes it really easy to understand. So check him out if you need more information. And again, Mary Smith. And if you haven't, or if you're interested in experimenting with this, your homework, create your first ad, set your objectives and your budget, experiment, try multiple images, try different audiences, and try different calls to actions. And also get a little wild this week with your posting on Facebook. Try something new, try something you haven't done before, and see what happens. It's a really fast-moving media, so you have the opportunity to experiment, and you never know. I think the worst thing that can happen is nobody sees it and nobody responds. So get a little crazy, you might surprise yourself. And that's it for this class. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Next week, I don't remember. Let's see.
Twitter.
It might be, yeah, Twitter. Next week is Twitter.
And what other social medias are we dealing with besides Twitter?
After Twitter, I think we're gonna do a combined class. It's LinkedIn, Pinterest, and Instagram. And then the YouTube is the one that we won't be having anymore. And then the final class in the series, week 12, it's like the last weekend in August, is about analytics and tracking. You're welcome.
I was wanting to know about the boost post.
Oh, okay, yeah. So boosting a post is essentially
Your business.
when we talk about the different, sorry, I got out of the section here.
That's okay.
Okay, so when we talk about the different ad objectives,
Yes.
boosting a post is optimizing for page post engagement.
So, okay, so that, you went on advertise on Facebook and you got that.
Yes, but you can also get this from
From every post you make.
every post you make.
I'm a physician and I don't like the idea of advertising.
Okay.
I'm thinking that boosting.
It's the same thing.
Right, it's the same thing, except
Yes.
it doesn't look like an ad, right? It's by
But-
regular.
But
posts.
none of the Facebook ads really
Got it.
look like an
Okay.
ad.
All right.
Yeah, and I think that the reason they call it that is just to kind of lower the barrier, right?
Right.
And to make it seem a little like friendlier and easier.
Yes, boost it.
I'm not advertising, I'm just boosting. I'm just boosting. So the reason I prefer to go through the actual ads dashboard is
Yes.
because I get more control that way.
Got it.
So like here, if I click boost, it's giving me like quite a bit. You know, I can set my budget and whatnot, but it just goes to a default audience. Whereas, yeah, whereas in the ads dashboard, I get all
Yes.
kinds of additional demographic data.
So it looks, the post looks just the same. All right. And I could experiment, I guess.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, try one, try the other, and see how they
Yes.
perform.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This is really helpful.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Why
Thanks for
no
coming.
YouTube?
I have to go to a wedding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
We should just extend it.
I know. It was just getting like too far into September, Labor Day, and I just,
Yes.
I
You gotta
know.
cut it off somewhere.
yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
For free is amazing, and you are amazing.
Thank you, Carol. My pleasure. Thanks for coming.